Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the franchise discussion category. This video will be dedicated to the recap and thoughts for the teaser that was formally released on April Fool's Day of 2015 to promote interest in a possible sequel series for Codename Kids Next Door. We begin this teaser with number 3 and number 4 trying to contact an operative they call Number Vine. While trying to contact Number Vine, number 3 accidentally heads to the Rainbow Monkeys website, but number 3 considers this to be a happy accident, and she proceeds to cheerfully sing along with the Rainbow Monkeys song, much to number 4's annoyance. Eventually, number 3 and number 4 manage to start a video call with Number Vine, an alien who looks like an upside-down potted plant with eyes. Number 3 and number 4 tell Number Vine that they posted the video, and Number Vine is furious that number 3 and number 4 posted the video before the countdown ended. Number 3 and number 4 respond that they don't understand the alien numbers, and Number Vine begins a lecture explaining the history of these alien numbers, but during the lecture, Number Vine's human disguise activates due to a glitch of some kind, and we the viewers see that Number Vine's human disguise is Lizzie Devine. Number 3 and number 4 are surprised to see that Number Vine and Lizzie are one and the same. Number 3 says something that's bleeped out, and number 4 whispers to number 3 that he thinks Number Vine's alien form looks better than her human disguise. Number Vine, in an annoyed tone, says that she heard number 4. But Number Vine, aka Lizzie, tries to get back to the topic on hand and urges number 3 and number 4 to evacuate everyone on Earth because they are coming. Suddenly, trouble begins at the location that Number Vine is currently at. The next scene shows number 1 in an outfit the next scene shows number 1 wearing an outfit different from his usual outfit during the TV series Codename Kids Next Door. He's also wearing a different pair of sunglasses. Number 1 monologues a bit about Earth. Number 1 mentions that Earth is a Class G planet, I believe he says, and number 1 also mentions that the majority of the human population on Earth number 1 says that the majority of Earth's human population consists of humans that are 13 years or older, and number 1 says that there's only one thing that can be done, or says that there's something that he must do. So a device appears, some sort of device appears, and number 1 sticks his finger up his nose, and he's about to insert his booger into this device. But he's momentarily stopped by the calls of number 274. We then see that number 274 is nearby, but he's chained up and he looks injured. Number 274 urges number 1 not to go through with what he's about to do. Number 274 brings up that their respective families are on Earth, and number 274 also brings up the Sector V operatives in order to persuade number 1 against this idea. Number 1 says that Earth is far too gone, but number 274 tries to bring up the other Sector V operatives and their families to persuade number 1 against this course of action. Number 1 hesitates, and then multiple screens appear on the walls of this chamber. Most of these screens show various different symbols. These screens show different alien symbols on them, but one screen shows an alien who looks like a tree, and all of these the individuals from these different screens begin to argue, or they're arguing with each other, and they're talking all over each other. and in regards to the alien tree, his human disguise is activated due to a glitch, and we find out that this alien tree's human disguise is number 74.239. Eventually, though, a light on the ceiling lights up, and the light, or the voice coming from this particular light, tells the other individuals from these different screens that the choice is Nigel Uno's to make. And the screens all turn off, and number 274 is no longer visible either, while he's trying to urge number 1 against this course of action. Number 1 is silent for a moment, but then he proceeds to stick his booger into this device, but we do see him shed tears while he does so. Afterwards, number 5 comments, or yes, the screen is dark now, but we hear number 5 say, questioning what number 1 has just done. Afterwards, we hear number 4's voice. The screen is still dark. Number 4 informs the viewers that there are no plans for a sequel series for Codename Kids Next Door at the time this teaser was made. But number 4 thanks the viewers for helping them try to make a sequel series. And number 4 also comments about how there should be a sequel series. Number 4 says it would be cool to explore space and face off against enemies or opponents in space. And number 4 also mentions how he seems to return the feelings of animosity towards the Toilinator, or number 4 seems to consider the Toilinator to be his archenemy now. And after number 4 admits that he rambled a bit, he decides that it's time for him to end his rambling. And that is how we end this teaser. So there you go. This was the teaser that was formally released on April Fool's Day of 2015 in order to promote interest in the sequel series for Codename Kids Next Door. Now, I say formally released because the teaser actually was leaked earlier than April Fool's Day in 2015. That's actually what the scene with Number Vine being angry at number 3 and number 4 for posting the video earlier. Yes, when Number Vine was furious that number 3 and number 4 posted the video before the countdown, that was to acknowledge the leak. So the teaser was slightly modified to reflect the leak occurring, but the general idea is still the same. So I don't think it's really necessary to divide the two different versions, because the general idea is still the same. But yeah, it was pretty hilarious how they did how they modified the teaser to recognize the leak that happened earlier. But it was intended to be released on April Fool's Day, and this version of the teaser that acknowledged the leak that was released on April Fool's Day. But yes, although this teaser was very brief, it still does have its share of revelations. Yes, yes, it's a brief teaser, but it still has its share of revelations despite being brief. This is the teaser that explicitly reveals that Lizzie is a member of the Galactic Kids Next Door. Lizzie is a member of the Galactic Kids Next Door, and Lizzie isn't even human. She's an alien, number Vine to be more specific. And number 74.239 is explicitly revealed to be an alien too. It was strongly hinted that number 74.239 wasn't human, but this is the teaser that explicitly reveals that detail. So yes, I remember being very surprised when I found out that Lizzie in particular was actually an alien, because like I said, some viewers, myself included, had already suspected that number 74.239 was actually an alien after the series finale Operation Interviews aired. But yes, not too many people, if any, had anticipated the revelation that Lizzie was actually an alien. And yes, this teaser is what puts Lizzie's actions and motivations in an entirely different light now that we know Lizzie is actually an alien, and that she was she was affiliated with the Galactic Kids Next Door all along. So you could say retroactively, the Galactic Kids Next Door have been testing number 1 ever since season 1. Now, obviously, I think it's safe to say that the reveal that Lizzie was actually an alien wasn't planned from the start of the series. It's safe to say that the revelation for Lizzie, I'm willing to suspect that Lizzie being an alien wasn't even planned when they initially were creating season 6. I think it may have very well been, this teaser may have very well been when they decided Lizzie was actually an alien. And that does follow along with other details in the main series itself, or in Codename Kids Next Door. Tom Warburton has acknowledged that that certain details weren't planned out ahead of time. These details were thought up while they were coming up with the story. I brought it up before, but if you're going by the analogy in one of George R.R. Martin's quotes, an analogy where George R.R. Martin says that there are 2 types of storytellers. The storytellers that George R.R. Martin mentions are the architect type and the gardener type. The gardener type of storytellers, or the gardener type of writers, are the ones that, according to the analogy by George R.R. Martin, the gardener type of writers plant the seed. They know what type of tree will grow from the seed, but they don't know how many leaves this tree will have. So that's the analogy for the gardener approach. That's essentially, yes, you could say the gardener approach was applied for certain details of Codename Kids Next Door. Not just Lizzie's true identity being an alien, but number 274 was also an example of a character where the gardener approach was taken for the character. Because initially, in one of his blog posts, Tom Warburton had acknowledged that number 274 was initially just a famous and highly respected Kids Next Door operative when he first appeared, and that was initially going to be his only appearance. But over the course of the series, they came up with new details about number 274. It was in season 2 when they decided that he's the supreme leader of the entire organization, not just in season 2, but retroactively in season 1. The season 2 finale is when they decided to have number 274 turn traitor, and then by the time of Operation Treaty, they decided number 274 didn't actually betray the Kids Next Door, but he was an undercover teen agent for the Kids Next Door. And the Heinrich von Marzipan saga was another example of the gardener approach. It wasn't until the saga concluded when they figured out the specifics behind the golden caramels, or golden caramels if you prefer, or the Guatemala incident. Yes, it wasn't until Operation Caramel, or Operation Carmel if you prefer, it wasn't until the last entry of the Heinrich von Marzipan saga when the staff and crew members of Codename Kids Next Door decided on the specifics of the Guatemala incident. So, yes, this wouldn't be the first time that Codename Kids Next Door took the gardener approach, going by George R.R. Martin's analogy. And at the very least, the teaser does suggest that Lizzie, aka Number Vine, could play an important role in the sequel series. And it would be part of the reason why I would like the sequel series to see the light of day is to have a better understanding of Number Vine's character, considering that most of what we saw of Lizzie was likely an act for her mission as a member of the Galactic Kids Next Door. So it would be interesting to get to know Number Vine's true personality through the sequel series. And it would be nice to figure out if Number Vine was really putting on an act the entire time, or if Number Vine may have became the mask to an extent while fulfilling her undercover mission. That would definitely be an interesting detail. But besides the reveal that Lizzie is actually an alien and a Galactic Kids Next Door operative, The teaser also indicates that number one may have turned to the dark side, and the Galactic Kids Next Door may not be so benevolent after all. Or yes, originally during the course of Season 6's main storyline, the Galactic Kids Next Door were covering their tracks by pretending to be a splinter cell of the Kids Next Door organization, a splinter cell full of extremists that wanted to eliminate all adults, regardless of whether the adults were good, bad, or morally ambiguous. But based on this teaser, it sounds like there actually were elements of truth to the splinter cell idea. We find out that the splinter cell is the Galactic Kids Next Door, but the Galactic Kids Next Door very well sound to be, or yes, the Galactic Kids Next Door do sound like extremists that do want to eliminate all adults, regardless of whether they're good, bad, or morally ambiguous. And based on this teaser, it seems like number one has been persuaded to go along with this extremist mindset. Although during the teaser, number one does shed some tears, so there could be a chance for number one to break free from the extremist mindset. It does open up possibilities for what the sequel series could be like. Now, like number 4 mentioned at the end of the teaser, as of the time that the teaser was made, they weren't going to go through with the sequel series, or the sequel series wasn't greenlit. And as of the recording of this video, nothing has changed yet. Or as of the recording of this video, the sequel series still hasn't been greenlit yet. But Tom Warburton is still hopeful that there is a chance for the sequel series to see the light of day. And I'm certainly hoping that the sequel series will have a chance to see the light of day too. Yes, like I said, I think the sequel series would help to give a better perspective for Operation Interviews. Or I know some fans were definitely surprised by the revelation that the setting was going to open up to space afterwards. And I think the sequel series would help to make that transition feel more organic, since space would be the main focus for the sequel series, or that's what's suggested to be the case anyway. And like I said, there's potential for other ideas. There's potential to learn about Number Vine's true personality compared to the act she put on while she was acting as Lizzie Devine throughout the Codename Kids Next Door TV special. And there's a chance for other characters to us to see more characters in action. Tom Warburton had acknowledged before that number 60 was a character that they never really got to explore in greater detail in Codename Kids Next Door. So maybe the sequel series could be a chance for number 60 to have a chance to shine. And I brought this up in previous recap and thoughts videos, but I would like to see some closure regarding number 1 and number 362's bond with each other. I have acknowledged before that I am a fan of the Courting Commanders pairing, and I would like to see some closure on that, since we never really got any closure with the Courting Commanders pairing in the Codename Kids Next Door TV series. And yes, the revelation about the Galactic Kids Next Door being every bit the extremists that the Splinter Cell were made out to be, that does add a new perspective to the Galactic Kids Next Door, now that we know that there was some truth to the Splinter Cell rumor. And yes, it would be interesting to explore the Galactic Kids Next Door further. So yes, it's a shame that the sequel series hasn't been greenlit as of the recording of this video, but I am hopeful that there is a chance for the sequel series to be greenlit, and Tom Warburton is also hopeful that the sequel series will see the light of day eventually. He's not giving up on seeing the sequel series be greenlit, so we can only hope, or yes, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the sequel series will see the light of day eventually, and this teaser does make me excited to see a sequel series if it ever does happen. So there we go for now. So as of this video, we've now discussed the teaser that was released to promote interest in a possible sequel series for Codename Kids Next Door on this channel. Take care, and until next time.